Today, in this Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania courthouse, a major development in a case that has gripped the nation for nearly 2 months. The alleged killer behind the grisly murders of 4 University of Idaho students agreeing to be voluntarily extradited to Idaho. 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary in the deaths of 21-year-old roommates Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, 20-year-old Xana Kernodle, and Xana's boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, on November 13th. Kaylee's father, Steve Gonzalez, telling Good Morning America today.
It definitely provided relief for our family. I mean, it's like seeing sunlight after you've been stuck in a house for a month.
It's my sincere hope that this marks a clear step in the right direction of effectuating justice for those folks.
This day in court is what the families and friends of the quadruple murder have been wanting since November 13th. The morning their loved ones were discovered brutally stabbed to death in their off-campus home at the University of Idaho. But law enforcement not making it public as to who did it and why, leaving the community in terror with a killer on the loose. After 19,000 tips and hundreds of interviews, finally, a suspect arrested at his parents' home in a gated community in Monroe County, Pennsylvania.
The FBI sat on the house for several days before a tactical team made up of Pennsylvania State Police troopers and FBI agents finally moved in at about 2 o'clock in the morning Friday to make the arrest.
Our Philadelphia station WPVI talking to a neighbor who saw the arrest but didn't want to be identified.
They had it in handcuffs and they took him out. We really did not saw his face. We did so when the team took him out and put him in the car. That was very scary.
In June, Kohberger completed his master's degree in criminal justice at DeSales University in Pennsylvania, seen here at his commencement ceremony. Back in May, someone using the same name posted on Reddit looking to recruit volunteers for a research project aimed at understanding how emotions and psychological traits influence decision-making when committing a crime. The suspect has been studying for his PhD in criminology at Washington State University. He had worked as a teacher's assistant there until the end of last semester. Police searching his apartment just over the state border in Pullman, a 15-minute drive from the crime scene in Moscow, Idaho. Recent students of his speaking out, one saying his appearance changed around the time of the murders.
He looked a little bit more disheveled. He had like some stubble coming on, and his hair was a little, messed up or whatever. I remember seeing him and thinking like, oh man, finals must be really getting to him.
At the end of the semester, Kohberger was driving 2,500 miles from Washington to Pennsylvania with his father in his white Elantra. Indiana State Police confirming they pulled Kohberger over twice in their state on December 15th for traffic violations, seen here in this newly released body camera footage. They say they didn't know at the time he might be a suspect. This all began back on November 12th, a Saturday night in college, as friends headed out to local bars and parties. Kaylee Gonzalez and Maddie Mogen, newly 21, went to the popular campus bar, the Corner Club, around 10 p.m.
It was just a party setting, so everyone was just socializing with each other. With Kaylee, she seems like her usual bubbly self, so nothing suspicious.
Investigators say the 2 young women left the Corner Club around 1:30 a.m. By 1:40, 10 minutes later, Kaylee and Madison were seen laughing and taking pictures as they ordered from a food truck in downtown Moscow.
I could just tell just by her body language that she was definitely feeling pretty good, and I wish I could have been there and given them a hug.
At 1:56 a.m., the pair arrived home, getting a ride from what Steve described as a sorority-designated driver service. According to authorities, their roommate, Xana Kernodle, and her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, were at a fraternity party earlier that same night, but also returned to that off-campus home by 1:45 a.m. Hours later, all 4 were dead. Their other 2 roommates were already home, allegedly asleep on the lower floor of the house, left unharmed.
I hope people understand how all these kids that were a part of this were doing everything right. And they were going to be the type of people that you wanted to be your neighbor.
Authorities maintain the murders likely happened between 3 and 4 a.m. and that all 6 people were likely asleep at the time of the attack. Their bodies not discovered for another 8 hours.
Some had defensive wounds. Each had been stabbed multiple times.
Earlier this month, investigators announced they had zeroed in on a white Hyundai Elantra, which was seen on video in the immediate area of the victim's house when the crimes occurred.
They were able to track the suspect through his vehicle, this Hyundai Elantra. This investigation took police from rural Idaho all the way to the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania.
This as new details emerge about how law enforcement tracked Kohberger down. Sources telling ABC News they used public genealogy databases like those used to catch the Golden State Killer.
We can reverse engineer anyone's identity based on who they share DNA with. The vast majority of those cases are cold cases.
Cece Moore is a genetic genealogist who pioneered the techniques used in investigative genealogy and says she has worked with law enforcement to solve more than 250 criminal cases.
When you perpetrate this type of incredibly violent crime, it's virtually impossible not to leave your DNA behind. It appears they did have his DNA to work with. That would first have gone to the crime lab. There was no match. So at that point is when they would have taken that DNA evidence and sent it out for investigative genetic genealogy analysis.
This method of using public DNA databases to help solve crimes is not without controversy. Critics say it violates users' privacy.
Customers of these sites in the past have complained, particularly after the Golden State Killer case gained so much prominence, about, well, wait a minute, you're using my DNA to look for killers. I didn't sign up for that.
Kohberger's lawyer says his client maintains his innocence, claiming he was in Pullman, Washington on the night of the murders.
He's currently charged with first-degree murder. However, Idaho has the death penalty, and so it will not surprise me if the district attorney supersedes the charges and maybe charges him with capital murder, which could make him eligible for the death penalty.
Law enforcement still tight-lipped on a possible motive. Kohberger is expected to be extradited to Idaho in the coming days.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.